Hi, my name is James Ponti, and I am the author of books like City Spies and Sherlock Society. That's my dog Lucy back there. And I am here in my home office in Orlando, Florida. This is where I write the books. This is also where I do my Lego projects. Lego's a big deal to me with the books. I try to tie the Legos into the book. So for instance, over my shoulder there, you'll see Statue of Liberty because I wrote a book called Mission Manhattan. That gets me kind of in the New York mood. So right now, what book is coming out next? Let's see if I can give you a hint. So I don't know if you recognize these places or this super duper phone booth there. Opens, British phone booth. My favorite part, it's got a light that comes on and off. I don't know if you can see that well. And that's because my newest book is called City Spies, London Calling. I thought I might read to you a little bit from it. It actually goes to London, but it starts in Istanbul. That's this chapter. The Bioglu Aquatic Center shared a parking lot with an auto repair shop, so it wasn't uncommon for teenagers with dripping wet hair to cross paths with mechanics whose hands were covered in grease. This was Istanbul, a city that straddled two continents and was home to more than 15 million people. Life here was defined by unlikely encounters. Despite this, Annie couldn't help but think the man was out of place. She noticed him the moment he stepped outside after practice. He was muscular but bulky, built more like a boxer, not a swimmer, and his fitted shirt and perfectly pressed pants were hardly garage appropriate. She watched as he dropped his cigarette to the ground and stubbed it out with the toe of his thick black boot. Judging by the other discards lying nearby, he'd been waiting a while. Annie turned to her friend Gochi and said, "Who's the musclehead?" The girl gave her a confused look. "What is musclehead?" Gochi's English was so good that Annie sometimes forgot that she was still learning it. "It just means a guy with lots of muscles." She bowed her arms in a flex, like a bodybuilder. "Ah, musclehead. I get it." Gochi smiled, pleased to add new slang to her vocabulary. "I don't recognize him. He probably works at the garage." "Dressed like that? I don't think so. Besides, look at his hands. They're manicured, not a spot of grease on them." "Okay, then he's a parent picking up one of our teammates." Annie gave her the side eye. "We're halfway through the season and we've never seen him before? How do you explain that?" Gochi laughed. "I don't explain that, because unlike you, I am not a terribly annoyed person." "I'm not terribly annoyed," Annie said defensively. "I'm just curious because..." "Wait a second. Did you mean paranoid?" "That's the word. Annoyed, paranoid, they sound the same to me. You are the most paranoid 15-year-old in the world." Now it was Annie's turn to laugh because there was more than a little truth to this. "Okay, that's fair. But believe me, if you came from my family, you'd be paranoid too." Annie's parents were both spies. Originally they worked for MI6, British Secret Intelligence, but 6 years earlier a mission in Paris had gone terribly wrong. She still didn't know all the specifics of what happened, but she'd been living on the run ever since. Turkey was her 9th country, and like the other 8, it came with an entirely new identity and cover story. As far as Gochi was concerned, everyone at school, as far as Gochi and everyone at school was concerned, Annie was Pam Ryan from Bakersfield, California, who'd moved to the Middle East because her father worked in the oil industry. "Walk with me to the metro and help me practice my English," Gochi said. "Okay, but you've got to help me practice too. You're not the only one learning a new language. How do you say paranoid in Turkish?" "That's easy," Gochi responded. "You just say Pam Ryan." It took Annie a moment to get the joke, and when she did, she laughed despite herself. That's so not funny. It had been years since she'd had a friend this close, someone she could almost be herself with. This was intentional because she knew she'd inevitably be forced to leave without warning or a chance to say goodbye. But with Gochi, their friendship had clicked from the beginning. They were classmates at Galatasaray, one of the most prestigious high schools in the country, and played together on a highly regarded water polo team. Gochi's dream was that they'd end up playing at the same college in the United States. "When we get to USC, my English will have to be perfect," she said as they walked along the brick road. "It will help me in school, and of course when I meet all the celebrities." Her plan was that they would go to the University of Southern California, which in addition to having an elite women's water polo team with Olympians from around the world, was also located in Los Angeles, just a few miles from Hollywood. Did you see many celebrities growing up in California? She continued. I lived in Bakersfield, Annie responded, sticking to her cover story. All they've got there is desert, farming, and oil wells. No celebrities. Too bad. We will fix that when we are at university. We will go to class. We will train in the pool, and then we will hang out at clubs with all the other movie stars. She did a little shimmy with her shoulders. Annie loved Gochi's mix of confidence and optimism. It was so heartfelt that she sometimes got swept up in it. Despite her unpredictable undercover life, she almost believed that they would go to college together and remain friends forever. But then she saw the reflection in a shop window and was snapped back to reality. It was Musclehead. He followed them from the aquatic center and was now watching from across the street. Annie was right. He had been waiting. He'd been waiting for her. And that is the first part of the first chapter of City Spies London Calling. If you've been following the books at all, you know Annie is mother's son with Clementine. In this book, we finally really get to know Annie. We finally find out what the deal is with Clementine and Umbra. So many answers in this book. I can't wait for you to read it. And I hope you have a wonderful reading day. Take care.